diplomat of the American Board of Internal Medicine. She practices currently in Spring Hill in Florida. She combines conventional treatment and naturopathic treatments. She is the founder and CEO of the Welcome Home Integral Healing and Integration Center since 2018. She is also a diplomat in lifestyle medicine as well as naturopathic medicine. And she just completed a fellowship in integrative medicine. She has a presentation on the microbiome and health.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to get myself oriented here. I know that we had an extended discussion just now with the lawyer, which I appreciate. I'm Dr. M, Dr. Maria. I hail from up north, originally, New York, originally, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And came down here about 30 years ago and started a practice with my husband, Dr. Singh. We have since branched out a little bit, and I wanted to have an integrative type of practice that I could flourish with, as opposed to just doing conventional / allopathic / traditional medicine. I always tell people traditional medicine is the real medicine. It is the old-fashioned way. It is that which is global. Sort of divided into all the country ways. But anyhow, I just wanted to say hello and introduce myself as a regular kind of gal from Little Brooklyn, New York, and come a long way. But I want to thank Dr. Rapat for inviting me here. Akarna had asked me to come, and I said, what is it that you'd like me to talk about? And so we came down to nutrition, and I said, okay, nutrition, microbiome, probably one of the hottest topics of the day. And the microbiome, to me, has got to be, one of the most important subjects that I have ever come across. And with all due respect to everything else, to energy medicine, everything that we learn. Dr. Shah with the, talking about the dharmas and so forth and so wonderful. All that stuff is extremely important to us, very relevant. But here's an area, topic that really needs to be understood, and we're still just scratching the surface, literally, of what this really is, this whole thing we call the microbiome. So I see it as a total investment in your health when you know what this is about, what this really means. Because the average person here, there, or anywhere in the world really may not know what this actually means, and we're still all trying to figure it out. But those of us who really have an appreciation for this, I can't say enough about it, and I don't even, like I said, know as much as I need to know about it in my practice and everyone else in their practice. The gastroenterologists, they're just doing their thing, but I think they are the people, the ones who are really in the gut, who need to know what is going on and truthfully going on. How these organisms in our bodies, how they're doing their thing. As Dr. Shah said, we have this force. What's behind it all? What is actually happening? Where are we getting all of this from? Who started the engine of all these things inside of us? How does the body know? It's just super duper intelligent, and we'll probably never understand it. But there is something in our bodies, around our bodies, our energy fields, that we still, like I said, hardly know a thing about. And there are these organisms that we have been able to identify, and there are thousands of them, thousands of species of them, but they're infinite in terms of number. So the human microbiome is really the guardian. I mean, it is really what was making us or breaking us. So if you have a microbiome that is intact, you're intact. And if yours is out of range, out of balance, you're not intact. And I think you can all understand this. So let me just go into this a little bit further. So some people think that we should be actually considering ourselves holobionts or superorganisms. You know, we're just full of things. We have so many organisms in and around our energy fields. Each one of us has our own energy field. And there are layers and layers to it. So this massive ecosystem, right, massive, is really, you know, something that I cannot tell you the enormity of. It's almost impossible. So microbiome, for those who don't know what that means, it is basically the community of these organisms that inhabit our bodies, our skin, our hair, our nails, our guts. They're all over us. So no matter how many times you try to clean yourself and wash yourself with soap and water and so on and so forth, or detoxify yourself with whatever, these organisms are there. They're there to stay. And we are not sterile. We've never been sterile. So, so we have this amazing compilation in our bodies that how they got there, I'm not sure. So this organ, called the microbiome, we all should call it an organ, is absolutely an indispensable partner in your health. So basically, our current system is just focused on you know, the pharmaceuticals and the technologies and so forth in the conventional world, and not really focused on this whole this community, this whole life form, really, as far as I'm concerned, enough. But I think it's that we're really making headway. We're changing it, and hopefully that this will get much more attention. So I think it's very important that we dive into the microbiome a little bit further. So I just wanted to kind of bring up some numbers for you so you can understand the enormity of these organisms, which we should not be afraid of. These are our friends, right? And the whole microbiome is composed of about 100 trillion microbes, okay? The microbes outnumber our human cells. So our human cells are somewhere in the order of about 1/3 of the microbial world. So, and there are thousands, I mean, more than 1,000 different species. There are thousands of species. And the weight of the organ, the microbiome organ, if we had to put it all together, can be anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe smaller in some people. So here are some beneficial bugs. I mean, we call them bugs. I mean, I consider it, you know, a friendly term. These are definitely beneficial to us. We don't want to disrupt those little darling bugs in our system, because when we disrupt them with bad bugs, or we make them super bugs so that they become resistant to whatever we put into the body and then they start working against us, we don't want them. We don't want that to happen. They become our enemies. So we want to be friends to these little guys and gals, always. So the microbiome can contain some pathogenics, right? There are some species that we don't exactly want hanging out in our guts, you know, and some of you may have had salmonella poisoning or Vibrio poisoning. These are very, very uncomfortable, absolutely uncomfortable conditions, usually food poisoning or from some kind of contaminated meat and so forth, or fish. You know, and when you travel, you'll have other organisms and names of organisms that can come into the body. And if your own microbiome is not intact and in good shape, and you're not feeding yourself the right food wherever you go in this world, you can disturb that microbiome, and that's where health deteriorates. That's when it all starts to fall apart. So most of our bugs are in the colon. 99% of our microbiome is housed in the colon, which is about 5 to 6 feet, different numbers come up, in length. And in terms of width, the width of the colon, that can expand extensively, and I won't get into all the dimensions, but just know that there's almost 6 feet of this colonic surface area, which is the, for those of you who are interested, the orange, supposed to the middle of the orange sort of square is the small bowel, the small intestine, which also has organisms. But the main one, the colon, which reaches down and loops around and comes down into the rectum and the anus, that has got the majority of organisms. Okay, so what do? They help us digest the organisms. They help us digest our foods. Does anybody know what the main food they like to digest is?
Sugar. Carbs.
Fiber. So when you eat fiber food, you eat your, say, your oats or your vegetables, or your avocados, your asparagus, your garlic, your onions, all those things. That's fiber, and those are fiber. And they are also food for these organisms. These organisms take that fiber and utilize it to make things for us, like small-chain fatty acids, which are extremely important for our function. We need these little fatty acids in all cells and for a lot of cell processes. So that's just one of the things they make. Without them, we won't have those little fatty acids made. Vitamins, they help support our immune system. So besides being mainly in the colon, these organisms help keep our immune system in order, in absolute order. So you could say that your immune system is mainly housed in your colon. So if you don't take care of your diet, and your diet is not favorable, i.e. junk food, alcohol, the standard American diet, it's just it's a bad scene. It's a bad scene in there. It really gets very messy. Brain and mental support, absolutely. There is a gut-brain connection. There is an absolute gut-brain connection, and we know it, and it's got to be understood, and more scientists and doctors are really beginning to understand this. That, wow, what we put in our gut is affecting our mood, our behavior, conduct, all of it. It's amazing. And so if we can keep the colon happy, we can keep our moods, our conduct, our behavior, our lives happy. Glucose metabolism, homeostasis, and healthy aging, it's all in there. And these are, I'm just hitting the main points on what the microbiome can do. So basically all of these organisms, which are all around the body, they basically interact with each other, and they help the gut, which has got the most of these organisms. It really helps. So they're the little soldiers around the rest of your body, helping to have the body cope with its environment, right? So your skin, your hair, your nails, all that is all being kind of protected with these organisms. And if you take the organisms away, you don't have a very protected defense system. So they are defending us. And people may think, well, that's kind of counterintuitive, that doesn't make sense, these are all germs and these are things that can hurt us. Well, they really don't, they don't hurt us unless we provoke that hurt, unless we make that hurt happen. When we start tampering with these bugs, we start spraying things on them, we put chemicals into them. When you do all those things to them, I only have a few minutes, so we have to shut us. We will be, harming them, and we will have them attack us. So they'll come after us. So we have to do better. And neurotransmitter, by the way, which are needed for brain function and mood function and so forth, 90% of the body's production is happening in the colon, in our gut, and the rest of our gut. We have all this production of serotonin, which is a very important neurotransmitter for us. So the best food, the toxic things that I've listed here, metals, plastics, artificial chemicals, medications, vaccines, and so forth, that would cause something we call dysbiosis, which means altered bodily, bio. The dys means altered, the biosis means the bio, the living tissue or the living organisms. So what are you going to have? You're going to end up with things like this on the list. So you want to take a look at that. These are all the things that can happen, and it includes everything. Autoimmune diseases, neurological diseases, and cancer. Okay? So how do we make it happy? I've sort of made a list here. Organic foods, plant forward, diverse and multicolored, fermented cultures, food every day. And from whatever culture you come from, you have certain foods that are best for your colon, i.e. Pickled foods, krauts, kimchis, kefirs, yogurts, and so on. Avoiding seed oils, because this linoleic acid, this is an omega-6 fat, it can destroy the microbiome. Highly processed meats will destroy the microbiome. Too many supplements as well. Careful with medications, all the medications, antibiotics. Using very clean water. Please avoid all these unnatural surfaces and use more glass and so on and so forth. All of this will be beneficial to you, your microbiome. EMFs on phones, laptops, earpods. Put your phone in airplane mode. I carry around a little shield with me. It actually goes out 16 feet around me. That's called a key shield. That's something I have to protect me against a lot of the radiation that I'm exposed to, Wi-Fi all day long, and that Wi-Fi does not make your microbiome happy. Okay, probiotics, you'll be very selective, and I suggest you use them according to a counselor. Speak to a nutritional counselor. I do counseling in my practice, and I talk to people about what would be best as far as probiotics. A probiotic is something that's taken from the outside. Your own body has microbiota, and that's your microbiome. The probiotics are outside. They're not what you call your microbiome. So the probiotics are outside. The prebiotics are all these foods, these wonderful foods that are food for the microbiome. So take note of them. They are really wonderful foods. Kimchi, miso, sauerkrauts, kefirs, kombuchas. I have a kombucha bottle here, and you get generally millions, sometimes billions of bacteria in a serving, depending on how big your serving is of those things. And you can eat them as you wish. So I just basically mentioned a little bit about how you create your little fermented foods, soaking them, and forming the bacteria. So kimchi, in case you wanted to know what that's about, and this is next to my last line. This is a very, very healthy food. This is a Korean delicacy. I mean, it's part of their culture, and I eat it myself every day. I think it's marvelous. You know, it's up to you how much you like it, but sauerkraut that's not been pasteurized is perfectly fine. Pickle things any which way, as long as you do that. This is another favorite, and I find this very soothing. It's very healing, and if I were you, I would take some time to have some miso soup on a regular basis. So these are just two things I was mentioning, and that's all I have to say about them. I've run out of time. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? I guess you all got it. So thank you, and visit us up in Spring Hill if you're in the area at the Welcome Home Center. We do nice things there, and love to have you come visit.
Well done.